Do you ever feel like you just don't have the time to exercise and get the exercise that you need, or that you're eating clean and you're not seeing the results that you think you deserve from that? Well, today we're going to dive in to how, as busy dads, we can kind of take control of those two situations to help you out. We are going to talk about time and food audits today, and teach you the couple principles that you can just over the course of the next week or so you can really find out what's working and what's not and be able to take control of the situation.
Great introduction. This is the Fit Fatherhood podcast. This is episode, I guess, 1. Last week was like episode 0, kind of the introduction. So we'll call it episode 1, the first official episode, following the path that we outline in our Fit Fatherhood school community and for our coaching program. And like Nathaniel said, this is meant to be the audit that you need to figure out, where can I have some time? Where do I have time? Where don't I have time? And also, what am I eating? And without being able to track both of those things, you don't know what's working and what's not working. And if you don't know what's working and what's not working, then you can't do anything to fix it. And so you're there to kind of audit yourself, no judgment, but also to bring it back to us and the community and say, hey, this is what I've tracked over the last week, last couple of days. Here's what's working, or here's what's not working, or I don't know what's not working or where I can squeeze things in. And so that's why we want to talk about those two specific topics today.
Yeah, I love that. And you brushed over really quickly there the no judging aspect of things, right? We're not trying to be hard on ourselves if we eat a chocolate bar or if we spent 30 minutes scrolling that we shouldn't have done. We're not judging that. We just want to be taking a look and seeing where the gaps are that we can come and fill with the proper habits. And then you also mentioned the bringing it to us and bringing this to the community. That is a huge benefit of being in Fit Fatherhood, is that the Fit Fatherhood school community is that we're going to look at this together and we're going to brainstorm how we can fill those gaps and put in pieces that are the right pieces, but the correct habits and stuff like that. We are going to actually be doing some free training here coming up. So just because you're not actually in the school community yet doesn't mean that you shouldn't be joining in on this time and food audit, because it is a valuable thing. We will have some opportunities coming up where Zach and I are going to open up some time to go in there and help you, decipher what is and what isn't working. From the doing the food audit, we talked about this, but what exactly are we looking to not accomplish, but what are we looking to do? What is the actual kind of tasks?
Yeah, so for the food audit, we're going to look at what am I eating? And there's a couple different ways that we can do that. And if you're a pen and paper person, I know, Nathaniel, you have your little notebook next to your desk. Yeah. It's having that with you at all times, or at least, most of the time. And when you're eating something, doesn't matter what it is, doesn't matter how much of it is, just jotting it down. You can even put a timestamp on there. 9 a.m. had a yogurt and a cup of coffee. Cool. Like, again, no judgment. It doesn't matter if that's what you're trying to do, what you're not trying to do, but writing down everything that goes into your mouth, whether that's a snack or a good solid breakfast, whatever that might be, just keeping track of all of those things that you eat throughout the day. And that way you have a list of maybe 4, 5, 6 things from the day, doing that over a week's time. Now, I highly recommend doing it over a week's time, because that will cover all those different days. For most of us, working a 9 to 5, potentially, or Monday through Friday, they're pretty structured days. You're at work, you're eating a lunch before you go to work, you're eating breakfast before you go to work, you're eating a lunch at work, dinner when you get home, maybe a snack somewhere in the middle there. But it's that Friday night, that Saturday, maybe even that Sunday where things start going off. You go to an event, it's the holidays, maybe it's a Christmas party that you have, and that's where things kind of add up. And what it allows you to do is go back and see, this is all the stuff that I've eaten throughout the week. And even if you don't change anything, the point is not to immediately start changing things. It's just to be more mindful of what you're eating. Yeah. So that's how we do it, and that's why we do it.
Yeah. And you mentioned there, we're not writing down the quantities of things. That is something that can be really overwhelming when you're
Mhm.
when you hear people talking about like dialing in their nutrition, like the macros and the weighing things out, stuff like that. No, we just want to see what's going in and being able to change some of those choices that we're making. Again, like we're not doing this. You can start making changes right off the bat if you're looking at your day and like, oh my gosh, I ate 10 chocolate today. What the heck was I doing? Like you can, but let's just give it a week, and then we're able to look back and see the whole picture, right? And if you do this for a couple weeks, that's where you really start to see the picture. Now, we talked about the food side of things and the drinking side of things because we do want to
Mhm.
look at the drink too, because that can be a really big catalyst to weight gain and energy loss and those types of things. Drinking those sugary drinks, those carbonated, caffeinated drinks, like that. But then, from a time perspective, it sounds like pretty much the same thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. And before we go to the time, I want to touch one more
Okay.
thing. If
Yep.
writing down is too much, picture a quick picture of what you have. That will help give proportions as well, and that might just be an easier way to do it. There's different apps that allow you to do it as well. So we want to make this as easy as possible. We don't want to add to all the other stuff they have going on. So before we moved on, I wanted to make sure
Yeah.
to cover that. I meant to talk about it before, but taking that quick picture on your phone and just moving on to the next one, that will help as well. That's like a step above slash it might be easier. So
Yeah.
yeah, going from the food to time, very similar, making sure that we're keeping track of what are we doing during certain time periods. There's a couple different ways that you can do it. The way that I do it is I have a timer on my phone, and every 15 minutes,
Mm.
sometimes a half an hour, depending on what the day might look like, I'll have it go off and I'll write down what did I do for the last half an hour. It doesn't have to be perfect, right? Maybe you jumped around to three different things for you had one main thing, but then two little things came up, and it was like a minute or two for each one of those. Like it doesn't have to be as granular, just like we're not weighing and measuring and counting each Oreo that we had with our food.
Right.
So just rough idea. Hey, if you're at a W-2, it might be easy, like from 9 to 10. Hey, I worked on my W-2. It might not be that much, but setting that timer to remind you to think about what you've done over the last 15 minutes or 30 minutes. And you can even give yourself a little rating on like, how was that for you? Was it something that was like 5 stars? This was great. Or, 1 star, this gives me low energy, things like that.
Mhm.
But the goal is to determine what am I doing throughout the day, even if it's something as simple as scrolling through your phone for 5 or 10 minutes, right? You might not even realize you did it, but that timer going off, you're like, oh wait, I just spent the last 10 minutes scrolling on my phone. That's not what I was supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be working, or I'm supposed to be meal prepping, or whatever that might be. So that's the goal for that, right? Even if it's a piece of paper with 15-minute increments, that's how I did it. Print it out, write it down, have it next to me.
Yeah. I love it. And like you can just take on your piece of paper from 9 to 5. I do, or some people work from 6 to 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just right from 6 to 2. I was at my W-2, or you can go really deep and say, um, you know, like Zach is saying, every half an hour, even if I'm at my W-2, if your W-2 allows you to do such things, like write down what you did. You might find that even in your W-2, there's room for you to make changes and make opportunity and maybe work up the ladder that way. But it's really those times outside that we're really focused on. Where can we find little spaces where we can get a little exercise or a little extra time hanging out with the kids or the wife, right? Rather than spending it kind of mindlessly scrolling or whatever it is that you may fill the time with that you're not necessarily paying attention to. So these are the two ways that we're tackling um, finding that space in there as busy dads, as busy fathers, as busy entrepreneurs and career driven people, and finding those little things in our diet that we can really clean up and make a difference, that are going to make a difference in our days. Um, the Fit Fatherhood community is here for taking accountability. So allowing us to kind of dive into these things with you and see where the gaps are, and then holding you accountable to filling those gaps with the correct thing. So that's what this community is really about. We're going to do a lot of other things along the way, and we look forward to having you come along. Am I missing anything before we part ways and jump into our live coaching call with our community?
No, I think you covered it. The one thing, the main thing I want to say is, as somebody who's done just one-on-one nutrition coaching, that's what we want to provide here as well, right? We're going to have meetings with you as you kind of work through the course and work through the community. So we'll create a specific plan of action for you, some habits that you can start working on. But what this community does and what our goal is to take that privatized, that individualized program action steps and bring it into a space where you have that other support where people are doing the similar thing. That's the biggest differentiation between doing something by yourself and not seeing results, and then coming in doing maybe some of those same action steps, but having a community with you that are maybe not doing the same steps, but are working towards the same goals. So they can work through the low points with you, and you can help somebody through your high points. So we want to combine the one-on-one nutrition coaching that maybe you've done in the past, or maybe you've tried to program by yourself, but we want to combine that into the community that will help support you as much as possible, because that's the biggest factor to success that I've seen, is when you do it with other people who are like-minded and who want to help each other just as much as they want to help themselves.
Yeah, I love that. The phrase "it takes a village" is there for a reason, because it takes a village. I feel like I'm going to say that a lot on our podcast. But without further ado, those of you that are in the school community, we will be over in that live coaching call. The Zoom is on the calendar. We'll see you there in a couple minutes.